On this episode of the Clip Service Podcast. Game 5 just happened yesterday, and obviously we'll get into that, but it did not go as expected, guys. And I'm sure most of you already know that. Um, but we are here to, sift through all the nonsense, really break this thing down, because it is, it's DEF CON a million. I don't know how DEF CON works, but it's we're in the danger zone, and we have one more shot. So let's get into it. So without further ado, let's make it happen, guys.
What's up, Clipper Nation, and welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. This is going to be a tough episode, but please still make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, YouTube, and you can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla. This is my co-host Nick and Connor Bell sitting right with us. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed. Yeah, guys, game 5, just a quick rundown. Series is tied after game 4. We go back to LA in what could have very well been our last game in Staples/crypto.com arena, in the hopes to tie it up and take command of the series. And that didn't happen in any way, shape, or form. Our lovely Connor Bell was there in person to watch it all unfold. And rest assured, he was cheering. Real quick, Connor, I have been hearing throughout Twitter that the crowd was a little bit weak. Can you confirm this?
I mean, considering how the game ended up being, I would agree with that. Yeah. It was
but like throughout it just did, from what I understand, like throughout the game, the energy was just off. Like it wasn't
I thought it was high energy at the beginning of the game.
from the fans,
No?
from the fans.
I mean, when it was there,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't know. I think it sounded kind of normal, but it did seem a little weak, especially after the second half started. It just depleted.
Yeah.
Everyone
Give us a little rundown. Give us a little rundown of your experience.
Yeah, went to the game with my dad. That was pretty cool. We had really solid seats, but I don't know.
Nice.
The first half was great. We were actually making shots. We were actually pretty competitive.
Sort of,
I would say. I mean, we made more threes than we ever did in the second half.
Terance Mann.
Huh? Rolla?
Terance Mann.
That's true. Yeah, he was actually, putting some in. But yeah, the dynamics just really shifted in the second half. I'll wait to talk more about it because I'm sure we'll dive into like the pros and cons of the whole game.
Who played halftime?
What's that?
Who played the halftime show?
Oh crap, who was it? It was the guy that sang like Planes or Jeremiah.
Oh, I don't know who that. Jeremiah?
Or Jeremiah.
Isn't that is that how that guy's name? Anyway, cool. Well, shouts out Jeremiah. Jeremy.
I thought it was Jeremiah.
I don't know.
Jeremiah.
I don't know what it was.
I think it is Jeremiah. Isn't it?
Shay, can we confirm? Our producer is giving us radio silence. Anyway.
Yeah. To answer your question though, fully.
Yeah, Shay's checking on that right now, but yeah.
Yeah, the energy was pretty weak overall. I think considering 2-2 a must-win game, it definitely could have been a lot better. And we could have really brought the noise. I was trying though.
I know you were. And that's why I asked, because I was like, okay, were you sticking out like a sore thumb, making noise, the only person in your section making noise? Like,
yeah, I mean,
and which sucks because generally, I mean, at least from what I've heard, I mean, unfortunately, I know I sound like a fake fan for it, but I've been so busy this year that I haven't been able to go to any games. But from what I heard, through the TV, for the first couple of home games, it sounded loud and it sounded raucous, but it just didn't
Mm,
sound that way. You know, on the broadcast this time around. So I don't know. I just wanted to get your opinion, Connor, as you were there. But
Mhm.
yeah, Connor was mentioning that the first half was obvious. The first half was obviously better than the second. But I don't know. This game wasn't particularly. We didn't come out with the energy that we should have from the jump. I mean, with the game like this, where the stakes are so high, and us being back at home, this is one that you got to right from the jump. You got to set the tone, and we kind of didn't. I think we finished the half down 10. And Maxi Kleba, that you could tell the Mavericks are switching their game plan around a little bit for this one. The biggest game plan, or the biggest wrench that they threw in everything, was playing Maxi Kleba heavy minutes and running sets
mm,
for him. So basically, uh,
Mhm.
the thing that drives me crazy that the Clippers tend to do a lot, particularly against teams like the Nuggets, where they you have like a generational offensive player. Clippers will throw doubles when they don't need to, and they'll leave guys wide open, shooters wide open, and that's what happened with Maxi Kleba. Maxi Kleba ended up hitting 5 threes for the game. I think he hit a couple in the first half, but you know we running the guys that we had out there. Zoo was fantastic, but he has a hard time against stretch bigs. And same thing with Plumlee. Plumlee was out of position all throughout this game. But yeah, Rolla, give me a breakdown of what you thought about the first half, and then we'll jump into the second.
I mean, I didn't feel like we played, like you said, we didn't play with too much energy, but I didn't feel hopeless at that point. Uh,
Yeah, the game wasn't.
I
The
thought
game was still within reach.
the game wasn't out of
Yeah.
hand. Yeah, it wasn't out of hand. I really liked what I saw from Terance Mann. I thought he was really, really balling to start the game, and I thought that he brought the energy, and people would kind of feed off of it.
Terrence has been great all
Um,
series. Like him and Zoo have been great all
but
series.
yeah, but I mean, I want to get straight to it, but first half wasn't anything special in my opinion from the Mavs side and from the Clippers side. Uh, but as you can see, by the final score, we had a major, 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 major
Final
comeback.
score was
And
123-93, which was the worst Clippers playoff loss in franchise history. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
can we give a moment of
let's
silence
give a
for that?
moment of silence for that. All right, we're back, guys. Thank you so much
All right.
for honoring us in that moment of silence. 30 piece, a 30 piece was dropped upon our heads in a game that we needed to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first half, like Rollis.
Can I ask you a question?
No, no, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't even want to get into the details right now. I want to ask you, who do you feel the number one blame is for this 30-point historical
Well,
drop?
that's a great question. It's a tough question, and I think a lot of that falls into the second half, which we'll get into. But uh, it's tough because this one, I think that you can point your finger at a lot of people in this one. Really, the only people to me that I can safely say are saved from most of the blame are Ivica Zubats and Terance Mann. They were easily our
Mhm.
I
two best
agree.
players, easily. Um,
Hmm.
you know, James Harden has had a fantastic series, so I can't harp on him too much. I've said it before. This isn't James Harden's team per se. I mean, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. He's a huge part of what we do. But this isn't James Harden's team. This is Kawhi Leonard and Paul George's team. And for the most part, James Harden has really
Hmm.
stayed true to, he's honored his side of things in this series. He's been our most consistent offensive player outside of Ivica Zubats this series, and he didn't have a great first half. He wasn't taking a lot of shots, and neither was Paul George. But I think those two and a half, including James Harden, I think those people probably take less of the blame, but I think that the number one person to blame in this one is obvious, and it's Paul George. Paul George had 5 points at halftime, and he was deferring. You know, to end the quarter when we needed some momentum, he was feeding Amir coffee. He was feeding Terance when he should have really. And Amir didn't have it. Amir's had a horrible series. You know, I don't get on Amir very much, and you know, obviously he's not expected to do as much as our stars. But Amir's had a bad series, and trying to feed a guy that's really been struggling to try and bail you out when you are set for an extension, a contract extension, when you are currently without Kawhi, you are our leader. You are the best player on the floor. You are one half of the duo that we built this entire team around for the last 5 years. And you're going to give us 5 points. And how many? I mean, he finished the game with 13 field goals.
With 9. Oh, 13.
He only shot the ball 13 times.
Yeah. That's atrocious.
There is an individual that I'm watching on TV right now, and his name is Jalen Brunson. Let me divert real quick. Jalen Brunson is averaging about 35 field goal attempts a game. 25 to 35 field goal attempts a game. And he's averaging a ridiculous score. And Jalen Brunson's great, but he shoots a ton of shots and he makes a ton of shots, and he's averaging like 30 something points in this playoff series so far against the Sixers.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that Paul George needs to get into his brain, that even if he's missing shots, you need to be averaging at least 20 to 25 field goal attempts a game. And when you're deferring to guys that have no business trying to bail you out, you're letting your team down. It sets a bad example. And you know, it sets the team up for failure. So I think Paul George is the number one guy to blame. I think Ty Lue's rotations were horrible. I think that Mason Plumlee should not be played anymore this playoff series and throughout the playoffs. And Russell Westbrook has been a huge problem on offense. And in this one on defense, there were multiple plays where Russ and Plumlee blitzed the ball handler, and there was no shot. There was no way in fucking hell that they were getting that ball. Two of them go to blitz the ball handler to try and get a steal. Both of them are out of position. Dump to the corner. Maxi Kleber 3. Bang, bang. Another 3 points on the board for the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was all over the place, and those two were a huge part of it. And Russ is shooting like 5 for 20-something from the field in this series alone. There are a lot of people to blame, but I think those three are the people that you got to put most of the blame on. Ty, because he was playing Russ too many minutes. Had Russ in the corner for catch and shoot threes. That is no recipe. That you're doing Russ a disservice and you're doing the team a disservice. Mm-hmm. Why haven't we seen Daniel Tice? Where's Daniel Tice? Daniel Tice has been to an Eastern Conference Finals. He's made an Eastern Conference Finals appearance in the last couple years. He can play in the playoffs, and I know he's undersized, but God damn it, Mason Plumlee is giving you nothing. And when Zoo takes a seat, we need a center that we can at least count on to give you 5 good minutes, and we can't even count on Mason Plumlee to do that.
No.
I'm done with this discussion right now. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm so sorry for taking up your time.
No.
Connor, you can go first. You were
all right. Yeah. I mean, what you said, Nick, was just really very accurate. Plumlee should not be in the league anymore, in my opinion. I think. No, I'm dead serious. I don't think he single.
No, it's true. It's true. I just wasn't expecting that from you.
Dude, no, he couldn't catch the ball. Like, anytime the ball went near his hands, it fell out of his hands. It was like the most ridiculous thing ever. And he's just not that coordinated anymore.
Dude. He's shot.
Yeah, and I was even texting our group chat about where the hell is Daniel Tice? Like, could we have another backup center to put in the game other than Plumlee? Because he runs like a freaking brick wall. Like, he's just this.
So just doesn't run.
Just doesn't run. But he's just, you know what I mean. But it's just.
Yeah, I got you.
But, and then also too, doubling the players when we didn't need to. They'll dish it to Derek Jones.
Just,
Cleveland.
Yeah, all their corner threes were wide open because we were gambling.
Yeah, leaving Kyrie open,
Yeah.
or even it doesn't even matter. Kyrie's so good that we could just guard him and he'll make a shooting like floating shot like over like two people and it'll just go in.
I have something to piggyback off that, but I will save it for when you guys are done. We're talking about the second
They
half.
seeing it in person, I mean it's a lot more fluid than it is on TV, but God, we just let so many alley oops happen, and that's their play, and that's been their play this entire series, and we just don't stop it. We don't know how to counter against a counter. We don't even know how to defend a counter, and we just allow
Well,
so
it's a
many easy
similar
buckets.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar thing to what we were doing, leaving the 3-pointer open, where we'll on the drive, Zoo will be backing up. He'll be in drop coverage, and you'll see Luca or Kyrie take into the hole, and he'll step when he's got somebody. His man's in the dunker, and that's not completely on Zoo, because if Zoo comes and steps out to challenge the ball handler, someone's got to rotate, whether it be whoever's at the elbow, or someone's got to rotate and try and box out Zoo's guys so there's no lobs. But it's like the rotations were just off.
Mhm.
And like you said, Connor, the alley oop dunks, the corner threes, that's a testament to just bad communication on defense. And our defense has been really good this series for the most part. But
Mhm.
this was a abysmal showing of defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Uh, so I'm gonna count down my top three players
Rolla's top
who were
three.
at fault for this. Who were at fault for this game. Number three is Russell
He's
Westbrook,
he's the
who
number one.
until further notice he's number three.
Mhm.
I will be referring to as Westbrook until he gets he plays a game where he scores 50% or more from the field. I just want to see it one time.
Okay.
Until further notice, his name is Westbrook.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. All right.
Um, I don't want to say too much about Westbrook right now. I'll save that for um, I guess the end of the season. I don't know if it's going to be the next game. I don't know if it's going to be in 2 games. I don't know if it's going to be in 10 games. But um, I think his story as a Clipper is already played out. I'll say that
Okay.
much.
Very
Number two,
cryptic. Very cryptic statement.
number two has got to be Paul George, dude.
PG's number two. Okay.
I've said
Okay.
number two. I've said on many, 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 many occasions on this very podcast that Paul George is the most talented player in the NBA. More talented than Nikola Jokic. I think he can do everything on the court: mid range, 3-pointers, the paint, inside, defend the perimeter, defend bigs. He can do everything on the basketball court at an elite level. Yet, like you said, Nick, he only took 13 shots. We see Brunson, who plays for the Knicks, he lost Julius Randle, and he takes every goddamn shot on that court because he knows he's the guy.
Yeah.
Paul George, the reason why he's not a top 5 player in the league is what's in here. He doesn't have the mental fortitude to be great. And it's that's what I mean when I say it's so frustrating to watch someone like that, because he has it. He has it in his hands. Fine, the 3-point shot's not going, mid range. You're one of the best mid range shooters. The mid range isn't going, get in the fucking paint. The paint isn't working. Try to get fouls. If you're in the paint, you're gonna eventually get fouls, right? You're one of the best free throw shooters. What the hell? Like, how are you someone that great offensively, scoring 15 points in a game, scoring 7 points in a game? It's insane
Real
to
quick
me.
to the. I'm gonna put you on hold real quick. To your point about the free throws, I believe it was the end of the third. The Clippers were in the bonus with 7 minutes left on the clock, and I think we shot maybe 2 free throws that entire stretch. So yes, I
Mhm.
agree with you. It was right there. But continue.
Uh, so I mean, I don't want to like I said, I don't want to speak too much on the future of Paul George, the future of Russell Westbrook, but it's not looking good, especially for someone like Paul George, who is expected to be the leader. who's expected to be the number one option, completely failing at his job. And we're seeing it in real time. Also, happy birthday to Paul George.
I
Today is his
know.
birthday.
Oh damn.
Hoping he
I
gets
know, dude. You know what, dude? I saw a video of Daniela, Paul George's wife. She posted on Instagram of them saying happy birthday to Paul George at dinner. And the dude looks, and you know, obviously there's a reason for it, but the dude looks sad as shit. And I almost like, I mean, not almost. I felt bad because you know I do have love for Paul George. I do. You know, like he's a great dude. He's fun to watch when he's on, and you can see that he's going through it mentally. It's his fucking birthday, and he didn't look happy. They were saying happy birthday to him, and he would just looked like he was like his dog just died. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I really, if you've seen that video, it's kind of sad.
The thing is if you go back and watch the highlights from Game 4, that dude was an elite player. We all saw that 3-pointer he made at the end of the game. That's the talent.
That's the toughest shot of the entire playoff so far, aside from maybe Jamal Murray's like over AD, but still, that's a midi. Like he shot a behind the backboard three, falling out of bounds to take control of the game.
It's so frustrating, dude, that he can go from playing like that to playing like shit in one game time span. It's unbelievable.
And who's your number one?
But yeah, Paul George. I'll speak on him at the end of the season. And on my number one blame for this 30-point loss is Kawhi Leonard.
Wow. Okay. Honestly, I was not expecting that.
Yeah,
you know what's funny is I kind of forgot Kawhi Leonard was on this fucking team.
See? Nick and Connor, take a second and think about this. When was the last time Kawhi was healthy for an entire playoffs?
Well, I'll tell you what. This was the first. I think this was like either the first or second game that he's played in the playoffs in front of a home crowd in like 3 or 4 years. I don't know what the stat is, but I think he's only played like less than a handful of games in front of a sold out home crowd in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So it's wild. It's wild.
It's probably been since.
Yeah, so I looked it up.
Oh, you looked it up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, go ahead, Connor. You can guess.
Well, it was the first time we faced him, right? I don't remember what year that was, but it was the first series, not the one.
Well, the first time we faced him was in a bubble.
Oh, in a bubble.
So that wasn't in front of a home crowd.
But it's been
and the second time was was when we were there, and that was the stadium was at 75% capacity, I think.
Yeah.
At that time.
No, I'm talking about when was the last time Kawhi has not been injured in a playoff run, so playoff season.
Literally, the bubble was the only time.
Yep, that was the only time, and that playoff run ended with us choking a 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets. That was the last time Kawhi Leonard was healthy for an entire playoff series. Every year after that, he has been injured, torn meniscus, knee problems, sore knee, torn ACL. This dude cannot stay healthy. I personally, he's already been ruled out for the next game. I don't really see a future with this dude. Point blank and period. I think that he is great when he's on the court, but he can't make it through an entire playoff season. That's just
yeah. I mean, that's a legitimate gripe, dude. Like, it's the $1 million question, or the whatever Kawhi's getting paid, $175 million question. Yeah. Whatever he's getting paid for the next 3 years.
It's sad, bro. It's honestly painful to say because he's such a great player. He was supposed to be the Clippers' savior, but he has completely failed us.
It's not really his fault.
It's not his fault, but it just is, dude. It just is what it is. We pay him all this money, and he has not lived up to anything.
No, I mean you have a point, and we'll get into that when our season does end, whether it's next game or after we raise the Larry OB somehow. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, you do have a legit gripe, and there's a lot of questions for this franchise um, in the off season, whenever that is. So yeah, I don't really have a rebuttal for you, Rolo, because I think it's fair. I'm not really on that boat yet, but I don't have a rebuttal because I do think that you have a fair gripe.
But the thing is like, at what point are we gonna recognize that the same thing keeps happening every year with this dude? Like, how many years in a row does he have to get injured when we need him the most for us to realize that this isn't gonna work? You know, I mean, like, come on. I'm shocked that he even played. Like I said before the series even started, I told you I was gonna be shocked if he played at all this
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
He played 2 games and he didn't like. Honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if we lose this series. I'm not gonna make any assumptions, but if we lose this series, I wouldn't be shocked if they released that he has a torn meniscus or torn
See, I don't think
and
it's
they're just
that,
saying,
which is
oh, we thought that he could play on it or
yeah,
something.
I don't think it's that, which is why I think it's so weird that um, everything was from the front office, from the coaching staff and stuff like that. It was being talked about like it was swelling. And I think the
Mhm.
thing that you have to understand too with like a guy like Kawhi who's had all these injuries is like the dude has like very little cartilage like left in his knee. So it's basically, it's very close to being like bone on bone, right? Because he has a degenerative knee condition. So he's gonna get swelling and it gets bad. And the only way you can mitigate that is rest. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't necessarily think there's any. I do, crazy enough, I do believe them when they say that there's no structural damage. I don't think that there's any torn anything. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Let's take a quick break. We'll really quickly touch on the second half, and then we'll kind of give a preview for what might be the last game of the season for the Clippers. We shall see. But we will be right back after this quick break, guys. All right, guys, we are back, and we're gonna just, like I said, quickly talk about the second half of this game. Like I said, going into the half, we were down 10. Wasn't a great game from the Clippers in the first half, but as we said before, there was still plenty of game to be played. The game was there for the taking, and this probably was the most frustrating part of the game for me. Was right after halftime because the Mavericks went about 4 minutes with like one field goal. Like they were missing everything for about 4 minutes. They got to the line a couple times. I'm not going to talk too much about the officiating. I think it's still ass, but that this obviously this game was that's the farthest thing from the reason why we lost. But the Mavericks were giving the Clippers every chance to get back in this game, and we started that third quarter off doing the same thing that we did in the first quarter where we were deferring. Paul George and James Harden didn't look like they wanted to score the ball. They were getting really loosey goosey with the handle. And, James Harden had 4 turnovers for the game. Paul George had 3. I would not be surprised if most or all of those came in the third quarter. But yeah, the Mavericks were giving us every chance um, to get back in the game. At one point, they sat Luka and Kyrie at the same time. Terance Mann got to the hoop, got a bucket, and Jason Kidd immediately calls a timeout and brings, I think, Kyrie back in. But I mean, if you look at the box score overall for the game, Luka had 2 threes. He was 2 for 8. Kyrie was 1 for 7. But again, it was the doubling on those guys when they weren't having great games.
Mhm.
And Maxi Kleba, who only shot threes and hit 5 of them, 5 of 7 from 3. That was the shit that
Yep.
killed us. I mean, if you go down the box score for the Mavericks, PJ Washington 2, Derrick Jones
Yep.
Jr. had 12. He hit a couple big shots. He was playing pretty good defense. But Daniel Gafford 8, Kyrie had 14. Derek Lively, like Connor was mentioning, he was the recipient of a lot of lobs. He ended up finishing the game with 12 points. Luka had 35, but if you look at that box score, this was a game that the Clippers should have won,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in the start to that third quarter. If we had any care to come back and win this thing, it would have been in the third quarter when they were giving us the opportunity. But when Paul George only has 15 and Ivica Zubac is tied with Paul George for points, and also we didn't. This is one thing that's been frustrating me. This is easily the best playoff series of Zoo's career, and
Oh, easily.
we aren't getting the ball.
Easily.
We aren't getting the ball to him when we aren't making shots, when we aren't hitting our jumpers. He is the guy that we need to get involved in the offense. I mean, if you look at his efficiency, he was 7 for 8 today. He's been super, super efficient, and and they don't really have an answer for him, and we're not giving him the ball. We're not even giving him a chance to do his thing. And that fault that partially is a part of that is on Ty, because you're pulling Zoo too early. You're not drawing up a game plan for him, and then you're giving Mason Plumlee the reins for too long. PJ Tucker did get a little run in this, but there was another issue. PJ Tucker was playing the 4. PJ should never play the 4 when his 5 is Mason Plumlee, can't shoot. His point guard is Russell Westbrook, can't shoot. So you have 3 guys that effectively, 2 guys that can't shoot the ball, and 1 guy in PJ Tucker that never gets the ball, and when he does, he's too afraid to shoot. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that PJ Tucker can't stretch the floor, but he's not getting any touches. He's not putting himself in the position to shoot. So you have 3 non-shooters out there. Yeah. I would have liked to see PJ Tucker at the 5. I would have liked to see Daniel Tice at the 5, but we didn't see any of that. And this game was lost in the third quarter. Luka had 20 of his 35 points in the second half. You guys want to give a breakdown of the second half, or I mean, it's pretty much more of the same.
Sorry, I'm just getting so pissed off right now.
I'm sorry.
Because I'm just wondering what the fuck happened. How did they go from the game we had last game, where Paul George had the pose, he had the great shot, he looked cool, he was celebrating, he was talking to the crowd and shit, to literally collapsing like 2 different people. James Harden was balling. We saw him at the end of that game. Floaters left and right. Cash. He won us that game offensively. What the hell happened? How is he scoring? How is he going from that to 7 points at home? He went to sleep in his own bed. They all went to the strip club, bro.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
Bro, they all went to the strip club.
Hey, but if it's any consolation, God, I'm sure that the Dallas strip clubs are not as good as the LA strip clubs. So maybe that plays into our favor going into Game 6. You never know.
No, I mean,
think about it.
Oh, I was so ashamed. Oh my God, bro, I'm sick.
Yeah, so
because what's the explanation, bro? Mm-hmm. They came home, they slept in their beds, they got to fuck their wives and girlfriends. Like what? what was the issue, bro? What happened?
Yeah,
oh my God.
No, I feel your pain. I think that we all need to do ourselves a favor and not try and reason with this, because there is no reasoning. It goes against everything that this game was supposed to be. The game plan, the energy, the what was at stake. It goes against all of that, and there's no reasoning with it. You just have to throw your hands up and say that maybe this is what this team is. We're just a temperamental, flip-floppy team that we saw it throughout the season. The writing is kind of on the wall. We would have stretches where we would dominate, and then we'd have stretches where we would look like the worst team in the league. Mm-hmm. So I think the easiest explanation is that it's just that's the team that we have, and we just need to see the good version of that if we want our season. Like literally, we need to see that the good version of that if we want to keep our season alive in Game 6. Mm-hmm. I think before we dwell too much on this game, I think we should probably just move on. If you guys don't have anything else to say, Connor, did you have anything to say about Game 5?
Yeah, actually, I mean, just to kind of sum it all up, they were just so much better team. It was just point blank and simple, and anytime we would drive the ball, anytime we would go up to want to shoot, go to the basket, there was just no energy. Like you were saying, there was nothing. There was no desire to want the ball to actually go in the fucking bucket, and everyone was too lax. Rotations, no one was really moving around on defense. They were really just complacent. Once they got to their spot, they just stood there.
Yeah,
and they didn't do anything. Whereas the Mavs, even though Luka bitched the entire game and complained after every single call against him, at least he cared. At least he
I hate
actually
him,
had
dude.
more emotion into the game and gave a shit about losing or
Yeah.
not.
Also, can we talk about?
Yeah, what?
I was gonna say, can we talk about how there's this narrative now that Luke has been playing on one leg and he's also had a cold for the last week and a half? He looked fine out there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
No,
I'm sick of it.
he did not look
Gamesmanship,
sick out there
bullshit.
or anything. No, he's just, I mean, he can be an annoying player to watch and definitely to play against. I mean, there's no doubt that he's one of the best in the league this year.
Oh, he's a generational talent. He's a
Yeah,
generational talent.
no, I mean, no kidding. But it's just, God, I mean, you could see him like he actually wanted it. Whereas Paul George, Westbrook, they just didn't, there was
Yeah.
no desire, especially at home, given. And one thing
Yeah.
that I think we miss is Nicholas Batum for this series. I really think that we could have benefited from having him and just having a person that's outstretched, one that actually makes his shots most of the time, because I think our second best player, like over, last night's game was Norman Powell. I think it was Zoo and I think it was Norman Powell were our two best players last night, and that was it. I don't know. Everyone else just seemed
I disagree. I
really
disagree.
okay. All right, but
Yeah, I mean that's fine. That's fine. I just
yeah,
think
no,
that Norm wasn't bad, but Norm's been a disappointment to me too. Uh, Particularly when he tries to flop and get the contact and doesn't go to the hoop to
Yeah.
score.
true. He had some stupid
But
fouls.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
yeah,
true.
I think it's been personally for me. I think it's been Terance and Zoo, but
Yeah, fair.
yeah, I didn't want to take away from yours. I just personally I don't agree with
No,
the
that's
Norm thing.
that's fair. I'm maybe biased towards him.
And to kind of go off
Mhm.
you, Connor, Nicholas Batum, uh, right? We traded him away for James Harden to score 7 points in a playoff game.
The thing that we miss the most
That
about
was what we got
the
in
thing that
return.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say yes, he won us to get our last game, but he's supposed to be the final piece to a championship team, and we can't even get past the first round with him. I'm not. Obviously, we have
We
one
do.
more game
We
or
do.
two more games,
Mhm.
maybe, but dude, it's not looking good.
Yeah,
It really
I
isn't.
agree, Connor. I agree with you with the Nicholas Batum thing. I think the thing that we miss most about Nico, obviously, he's a fan favorite,
Mhm.
but we don't have the ability to go small the way that we did.
No.
Like he would have been a great guy to put on Kleba and just keep him there because he can hang. He can hang on the perimeter and he can shoot threes. You're not giving up a 3-point. You're not giving up any 3-point offense when
Yeah.
when you bring Nico in. And Nico's been balling for Philly. I definitely miss him, but we have the team that we have. I think we have options to be able to go small. I think one of which is PJ Tucker, which isn't great just because of his age, but I mean he's there. I think guys, I think we should jump into the preview for next game because I'm getting depressed talking about Game 5.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
But
Mhm.
yeah, so obviously, as we know, Game 6 in Dallas. If we do not win, our season is over. It's a 6:30 game tomorrow. We're recording this at 7:30 on Thursday, and so yeah, in about a little less than 24 hours, we go and play the most important game in this iteration of the Clippers history. Um, and what do you guys? I'm going to ask you guys first, and then I'll give my 2 cents. But what do you guys want to see if we have any shadow of a chance in this Game 6?
Can I say
Yes.
something really quick? Oh, I want to answer a question. I want to see. I'll start by saying this. Earlier this season, um, why am I blanking on his name? Who's the Atlanta Hawks shooting guard?
DeJounte Murray?
Yes. Earlier this
Mhm.
season, DeJounte Murray had a game where he scored. He scored. The game ended with him scoring
Yes.
the game winner. He had 40 points and put up 40
Yep.
shots, 40 field goals, had 40 points, won the game for his team. I swear to fucking God, if Paul George doesn't put up at least 25 goddamn shots this next game, bro, I'm leading the fucking. I don't care if we win or lose. I'm leading the charge to get this man off my team if he does not put up 25 fucking, at least minimum 25 shots. I don't care if he goes 0 for
Yeah.
25. He
Yeah.
needs to throw that goddamn ball up.
I
Bro.
agree.
He's the number one player
I
on the
agree.
team. He's the number one option. What the hell?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
No, I totally agree. So that's your game plan, Roa?
Yeah.
He needs to shoot the
Yeah.
ball. He needs to shoot the ball like his life depends on it.
Yeah.
I got you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with that. Might be a hot take, but I could see Westbrook without as many touches. Next game.
I would love that.
That's not a hot
I would
take.
love that.
Not a
That's a
hot take.
very cold
I
take.
think-
That's
honestly-
a cold take. That's a freezing take, bro.
Oh, it's freezing? Okay, well then, I don't know. We should play Bones instead of him for more minutes.
Dude, okay, you took the words right out of my mouth. Continue. I want to hear what you have to say about this, but I was going to touch on this as well.
I mean, it was fun to actually kind of see him for a bit. I'm not going to lie, the game was so blown out. I left with like 6 minutes left of the fourth quarter because it was just, I already knew it was just.
I don't blame you.
So
You got to beat the traffic.
Yeah, there's
Exactly.
no point.
But
There's no point in being there.
no, but I was able to see Bones for like a little bit. But I mean, the way he handles the ball, I mean, yes, he's a youngster, and yes, it's like closing the end of the game, so the nerves aren't really on him. You could say a lot of different reasons why, but
Totally.
he is just a natural player. And even this guy in line through security was talking to me and my dad, and just about the players and how the series is going. He's like, "Why isn't Bones playing more?" Like that was one of his biggest reasons, or one of his biggest claims that he made, was just like Bones should definitely be playing more. And I agree, because he actually has extra energy, like kind of similar to Westbrook, but he can actually handle the ball more. And I think is not as affected by so many different things around him, where I think as like Russ is affected by way too much. I think he's just not really fully there in the game. Unless he is, then we were able to really see something,
Yeah, no, I totally got you. Really quickly, give your guys' predictions for this game, and then I'm gonna say what I have to say.
Predictions as in score predictions?
Yes.
Do you want to hear?
Actually, you know what? Let's just
my
let's simplify it. Who do you think is gonna win this game? And be honest. It's okay.
I honestly have
Okay.
no idea. It's completely
Okay.
a toss-up.
Yeah.
The thing is Kawhi or not Kawhi. Paul George has a history of collapsing in big pressure moments like this, and he also has a history of stepping up. So I genuinely don't know what Paul George we're gonna get, but I think he's the key to us winning.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Connor?
I agree. I don't know. I don't even think I can predict it, because it's just such a hit or miss between James Harden, even Westbrook, and PG. All like three of those guys that we just really need to step up. And, odds are one or two of them are not going to play that good. But maybe we'll get lucky and just have all three just go lights out and we win. But I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
Okay. So I'm gonna tie my what I expect to what my prediction is. I love what you said, Connor, about giving Bones some playing time. Normally, I would say that Bones shouldn't play, particularly with the way that he finished the season. He had a couple fantastic games, but Bones, I don't think, is the player that a lot of people think he is either. He is similar to Russell Westbrook in the way that he plays like an undisciplined brand of basketball. And I was able to live with that. There were a couple of times throughout this season where Bones was given the reins when Russ broke his hand. Bones was given a chance to really prove himself. He had one really good game, and then the other games he was kind of unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the point in the series where you have to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty Lue needs to adjust. And I think one adjustment that he can make, the lesser of the two that I'm about to mention, is to play Bones, not all of Russ's minutes, because what Russ gives you when he's not scoring, At Russ's very worst, he gives you an okay defensive presence when he's playing disciplined, if not an elite defensive presence when he's playing disciplined, and he'll give you rebounding. And those are two things that Bones doesn't really offer. Bones isn't a great defender. He tries, but physically he's just not. He doesn't have the tools.
Yeah.
And Bones isn't a great rebounder. So you are kind of punting those two things when you play Bones. But just from game plan alone, I would imagine that if Bones is in the corner the way that Russ has been in the corner the last couple of games, the Mavericks would at least have to think about closing out and not be able to just clog the paint. And I think for that reason alone, Bones is worth playing some of Russ's minutes. And if it goes well, give him most of Russ's minutes because you have no margin for error anymore. The second adjustment I would make is that Mason Plumlee shouldn't touch the floor. I'm sorry. Connor, I love what you said also about that. I don't know. I don't know if Mason Plumlee should be playing in the NBA at this point. I'm sorry. I tried to give him a chance, but I just can't do it. And it sucks because he had a good finish to Game 4.
He's been playing decent. Yeah, he's been playing decent.
No,
I feel like.
No, he hasn't. He did have a good couple minutes in Game 4, but for the most part,
in Game 1.
What the fuck did he do in Game 1, dude?
Yeah,
you could have put Kobe Brown out there.
Dude,
you could have put Kobe Brown out there in Game 1, and he would have had a good game. Like we were in control of that game.
Yeah,
Game 1 seems like an eternity ago, but I think that our adjustment needs to be that Daniel Tice and PJ Tucker need to split the minutes coming off the bench at the 5. PJ Tucker should not be playing the 4. Daniel Tice should not be playing the 4. They need to be playing the 5 because it is anything. If Musa Diabate was available, I would say they play him over Mason Plumlee. It's been that bad.
Yeah.
But I think that those two adjustments can help. I really do. Because we're not out here asking Mason Plumlee to go and score 20. We're not asking him to get 15 rebounds. We're just asking him to check in for 5 minutes and don't do anything fucking stupid. And he can't do that. So if we can get a guy in there that can do that, then it's better. And I think that that's the thing that we need to see. And I honestly believe that we'll see something like that because Ty Lue's not stupid. Ty Lue's going to make an adjustment. I don't know what it'll be, but I think that we'll see that. And I'm going to finish off with my prediction. And I'm going to say this. The 2-1-3 era has obviously been a lot of heartbreak, a disappointment.
Yeah.
We've had awesome moments, and we've had moments where I was, I loved what I was seeing. And there have been moments like some of the best moments that I've had as a Clipper fan have been in the 2-1-3 era. You look back, the Jazz series, what Paul George was able to do in that playoff series alone. Paul George, Reggie Jackson, those guys, Terance Mann, got us to a place that we'd never been. There's been some awesome, awesome moments. But for the most part, it's been a disappointment. And we're looking at what could possibly be the eclipse of this whole thing. So we're right on the edge of it. And it really boils down to this game and the game afterwards. If we do manage to get past this first series, then we'll think about the second round as we go. This is it. It's Paul George. It's on Paul George. He is due for a contract extension. His future is extremely uncertain. Kawhi Leonard's future might even be uncertain. We have Russ, who's I don't know if he's going to be a part of this team next year. James Harden is due for a contract. There's so many moving pieces. We have a stadium opening up in Inglewood next season. We have to think about that. Steve Ballmer has to think about, okay, if this goes south, we're going to have to rebuild, retool in a new stadium. How am I going to sell tickets? There's all of this. There's a report coming out today that the Lakers are looking at Ty Lue as a replacement coach for Darvin Ham. So that's already happening. There's so many things that are piling up on the Clippers to just make something happen. And it would be devastating. It would be devastating if our season ended this series, but particularly tomorrow. So with all of that being said, with everything riding on this moment as a Clipper fan for the last 5 fucking years. Everything is riding on this fucking moment. I believe, for those of you that have seen The Avengers, Doctor Strange held up one finger. He looked at Tony Stark and held up one finger. Didn't say a word. They were on the same page. And what it meant was that there is one option out of the millions and millions of options that he was able to go back in time and see, or go forward in time and see. And that was the end game. We are in the end game right now. There is one option, and that is why I think the Clippers will win Game 6, come back home, win Game 7, because we've done it before against this very team, and the Clippers will win this series behind Paul George and James Harden. That is my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. I'm holding up, for those of you that are not watching this on YouTube, I'm holding up one finger. This is the Clippers' end game. This is it. One option. And that is why I'm making my prediction.
Damn, that was poetic.
That's really that's optimistic, dude. Yeah.
That I have to. It's not even because I want to at this point. It's because I have to. I can't fathom the horror that is going to happen if we lose tomorrow. I can't do it.
But Nick, we've been through this
I know,
before, bro.
but this is different, bro.
This is worse. I feel like this is worse. Yeah.
Like 27 years of heartbreak, dude. What's one more fucking year? What's 27 more years?
This is different, bro.
You know what I mean?
This is so different because this is the last 5 years of something that we've never built a team like this before. Mm-hmm. We've never had this level of talent. We've never had this opportunity. Mm-hmm. Year after year, we've never had these opportunities. You can say what you want about Lob City. Lob City was fun. It was exciting. It put the Clippers basketball on the map. But I never, I was young, so I was, I wasn't thinking the way that a rational basketball fan would think. But I don't think that Lob City ever had it in them to win. I don't. They were great at what they did. They did everything they were supposed to in terms of filling up seats and making people want to watch Clipper basketball. And they were a powerful force in the regular season, and they fell short in the playoffs every time around. But that team was never.
Well, I think that year we lost to the Rockets.
We were not going to win that year. We were not going to beat Golden State.
Really?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Wow.
And if we beat Golden State, we weren't going to beat the Cavs. No way.
The Cavs only have one.
We were not going to beat LeBron James. I don't think. But and
Dellavedova?
Either way, this is the team that we built and gave away so many players and so many assets. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, look what he's doing.
Hayes himself is about to go further than us, bro.
Well, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
This we've never built a team like this, and that's why this is different, and that's why there's so much riding on this game tomorrow. We've never had this kind of pressure, and that's why I think I have no choice but to believe that we will get it done. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, I've hung a Paul George jersey behind me. Happy birthday, buddy. Go out there and win us a series. And guess whose birthday it is tomorrow? Tyronn Lue.
Who?
And guess whose birthday it is on Sunday for a potential Game 7? Mr. PJ Tucker.
Okay.
Wow.
I can't believe it. Yeah, guys, that's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. Clipper Nation, let us know what you think of these predictions. I am running on fumes this series. Thankfully I have a doctor's appointment in a couple weeks, because I guarantee he's going to find out that I have some ulcers or something going on from this series. This has been tough, but I believe that we'll turn it around. I really do, because I have to, not because I want to, because I have to. And what happens after this season's over, no matter what the outcome is, we will cross that bridge when we get there. We might be talking about it on the next show, depending on what happens tomorrow, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. Guys, did you have anything that you wanted to finish off this episode with? I'm just, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, the players.
All I need to say.
Sorry, Rilla, say that again.
I said all I needed to say.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I mean, just like what you're saying, Nick, you have to believe, and that you have to believe that they win. The players got to feel that too. So that's our only way of winning.
Well,
So
I hope they do.
Yeah.
Hopefully the birthday cheer is strong this weekend because we're going to need it. But yeah, guys, I think that about does it for this show. I really don't want this season to be over. I want to keep making playoff pods for you guys. Obviously, we're going to keep the ball rolling. We made this podcast to talk about Clipper basketball, and that's not going to stop in the off season, no matter when that comes. We look forward to bringing you guys shows every week or a couple times every week whenever we do decide to do it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Send your positivity the Clippers way, please. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify, on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Deezer. Check us out on YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think of this Clipper season, what your predictions are. Please get at us on Twitter and on Instagram at Clip Service Pod. Yeah, guys, this is it. Endgame. Hopefully, those of you that if it comes to this point, we'll cross. I was gonna say we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If it goes to a game 7, I might even get a ticket. If it comes to that point, like I think it might, everybody go out there. Everybody support the team because we need it. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And as always, even when they break our hearts, go Clips.
Go Clips. I do it every time.